Hello and welcome to Model Making Man, a full month after the teaser trailer. Not as bad as Disney and Marvel, but there you go. There's been a lot of hold-ups with missing equipment and things not working. Time is an issue as well, but hopefully we're up and running now, so we should be fairly regular. Episode 0, not a true episode. I thought what we do here is introduce myself, David. Talk about the 3 projects I've got on the go at the moment, perhaps a little look forward to the next one. As you'll see, motivation is not really a problem so much as focus. That's why there's 3 ongoing projects. We're currently working on the 8080, but first we'll have a look at the Hoth diorama, the completion of the 80ST, and then a quick overview of the 8080, and then hopefully episode 1 soon we can make a start on carrying on there. So the first of the 3 pieces I'm working on at the moment is the Hoth Echo Base diorama, which I'm building into a coffee table display case. It's going to be quite large, and there's a lot of things to go into it, so I'm kind of dipping in and out of this. To start with, the Millennium Falcon here is the D'Agostini part work, which was released several years ago here in the UK. It's a very good kit, very well detailed, very strong. It's got a full metal skeleton underneath there. There's lighting in it, there's a working ramp, all sorts of things. Very impressive. There's a lot of aftermarket pieces for this. They're very, very good. Can get quite expensive, but it's over 2 years, so I didn't really think about the overall price of it. I'm not thinking about it now. The 2 snow speeders are Bandai. The one at the front is what I'd call a vanilla build, I suppose, straight out of the box. The second one, I've added a bit of interest. I've opened the cockpit, opened some panels, put some detailing in. There's a lot of LEDs in there as well which aren't connected up yet, so we'll come back to that. These are 1/48 scale. For some reason the Falcon, I suppose it's to match the filming model, it's 1/43, but next to each other they're a pretty good match, I think. Also 1/48 of course is the Fine Molds X-Wing, the Red 5, which straight out of the box. Very good detail kit. I mean, the Bandai kits are stunning, but this one is very close considering it's several years old now. I've added some ladders. I've opened a small hatch next to the red ladder there. The repair gantry, very simply made from plastic card, plastic strip. The pistons are made from felt tip pens, that kind of thing. We'll go into detail because I'm going to be making another one of those. And here we have just some detail parts just to populate the hangar. This is all fizzy drink lids, plastic card, parts from old model kits, that kind of thing. That's what I enjoy building most, I think, a bit of scratch building. The display case is quite large. The roof of it, I'll show you a picture of that here, is made from interesting next door's back door. They know I've got it, they've got a new one, so that's okay. Here's a quick look at the back of the D'Agostini Millennium Falcon. The model itself came with a light-up engine, which was just a clear, well not clear, a milky strip of flat plastic, which looked fine when it was lit up, but being a landed diorama, I couldn't have it lit up all the time. So I've built some detailing in the back here. This is very simple, just plastic card and plastic strip. You can go a long way with plastic card and plastic strip. The second build I'm still working on is the 1/12 scale scratch built 80ST. This was scaled up from the Bandai 1/48 pictured here. The 2 figures are also Bandai, those are 1/12, just for scale of the model. Upscaling is very easy. You just buy a model, use it as a 3D blueprint. So you measure every part of it, measure it and measure it and measure it, make notes. Multiply all of the measurements by 4, and then slowly build up the bigger version. This stands a couple of feet tall. That's down, that's up. I finished the build here. I've given it an undercoat, I've given it the top coat, and I've done a bit of shading with the airbrush. All I need to do is a bit of weathering, maybe a bit of fine detail, a bit of damage here and there. And this is the third build I'm currently working on. This is the one I'm trying to see through to the end now. I've enjoyed this one. The reason I didn't finish the ATST is because I had a sudden inspiration and I worked out how to do the neck ribbing. It's coffee cup lids in a stack, simple as that. I got hold of some, took some measurements and found out that one of the sizes, these are for 12-ounce cups I believe, they were the perfect diameter to make a 1/35th scale. Again, the same as the ATST, I bought the smaller Bandai kit and scaled it up, and by chance would have it, also multiplied everything by 4, and this makes a 1/35th scale AT80. It's just over 2 feet long. It's about the same size as the stop motion models, which was quite nice. The head, the weaponry, the neck and the main body are mostly finished. Well, what I've got to do next is finish the underside and then do the legs. And then decide if I want to make a diorama. We'll decide on that further down the road. So before we finish this episode, I thought it would be handy to have a quick look at the upscaling process and how I go about it. Starting with the ATST, the first thing I always do is put the model together, obviously, and just stare at it for quite some time. Familiarise yourself with the basic shapes that are underneath all the detail, the basic angles, if there's any slight curves to the side of the head, which there are here. Really familiarise yourself with it. It will help you visualise the finished piece. It's a simple process of breaking down all of the tricky shapes into the simplest shapes you can. Something large like this, a slight change in angle will look terrible compared to the original. It's all your mistakes are multiplied by 4 really. The final kit bashing part on the top, that really changes the whole thing. It can look a bit odd at times. You just have to have faith that you've taken the correct measurements. So the feet, starting at the bottom, very basic shapes built up, covered in milliput, which is a very good product for this. There's some kit bashing going on there. No two of the filming models look the same on the feet, so you can have a bit of artistic license there. Legs, again, solid wood covered in styrene. I made up 2 matching boxes of detail so I can have matching legs when I'd applied all of the bits and pieces. The torso is a solid lump of wood because everything attaches to it, so it has to be nice and solid. All the detail on the outside doesn't have to be as strong, so that's just built up with more styrene. Keep adding the detail. That was the first standing test. Doesn't stand straight. It took a long time to get the angles of the legs right so that it stands freely. The back panel beginning there, adding a bit of detail. Lots and lots of measurements, keep doing that. The curves are made with milliput again. It's a very good product for that. the back panel with a bit more detail added. Further sub-assembly, the grate at the back are actually roof tiles from a model railway set. There's the top hatch. And finally the pipework, which was quite tricky to get it to bend nicely. Onto the AT-80, by far my favourite vehicle in Star Wars, my favourite scene from my favourite film. So I used the AT-ST as a dry run before I tackled this one. And that's the first one I built, that's the AMT model. Now we have Bandai, which nobody seems to be able to touch for quality. They're truly remarkable. They're so well made, you don't actually need any glue. If you've ever made a Bandai kit, you'll know what I mean. There's no glue used in this at all. The parts fit so perfectly. Unbelievable. It's slightly smaller than the AMT kit, but so much more detail. So, starting at the back, the main body is a wooden frame because it's larger than the AT-ST body, so I made a framework which I hot glued the styrene panels onto. The pipe underneath is an old drain down pipe, millipup and styrene to make up the shapes. Some wells with engineering detail put in. This is the start of the rear assembly, which was the trickiest part of this build, I think. Again, lots of millipup, lots of detail. This is attached by magnets, so I can remove the rear panel. The underside was a revelation because I'd never seen the underside of an AT properly before, and according to Bandai there's an awful lot of detail in there. Here's the neck. Oh no, it's not. That's the side cheek panels on the head. Nope, that's on the body. That's skirting. My apologies. Right, armour panels. That's the neck, that's the coffee cups. That was the very first thing I did. Got excited about it being the right size, so that's why I didn't finish painting the AT-ST. Got whisked away. And that's the basic shape of the head. I've put a light into the head, red light. These are the gun assemblies, detachable for ease of painting. There's the underside of the head. And that's the build so far prior to painting. Now this is the rear removable panel. The reason I did that was somewhere to hide the switch. And that's the only electronics I've put in either of these two kits. And being 1/35th scale, I couldn't resist getting into the 1/35th scale spares box and putting together a Luke Skywalker. The outfit's slightly different to the standard X-Wing, so lots of reference needed. All of the body parts are German soldiers. That's an engineer for the main body, apart from the head, which I believe is a American tank commander, a modern one. It was easier to convert to the X-Wing helmet. He's hanging on a piece of floristry wire. So put the pieces together, build up the detail with some milliputs and fill in some gaps with some putty. The vest is millipup, and I've used plastic strip to add details to the boots and give him a belt. Also I've put the chest panel on his flight vest. Tiny lightsaber. The cut was made while gardening, not from the lightsaber. Doesn't work. Right, the parts all together, ready for test fitting, and then we go ahead with a coat of primer just to make sure that all the joints are clean and tidy. Finally, a proper paint job, and then when we finish the last part, the star on the top of the Christmas tree, I can hang him in place. So that's where we're up to. Apologies again for the delay in the bringing out of this video. It's just an overview so far. Episode 1, we're all up and running, so that shouldn't be too long. We can make a start on the legs and go into a bit more detail on the process. Thank you very much for watching. Again, thank you very much for everyone's kind comments and inspiration to get going on this. And let's hope it's not so janky next time. See you soon. Bye bye.